What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here, welcome back to the channel, and today I have an updated Kuriboh deck profile for you guys with the, with the addition of the brand new skilled brown magician, and also with cards like the Dark Charmer Gloomy, and with Regeki at 3, I figured, you know what, why not give the Kuriboh deck a bit of a facelift, if you will. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys do enjoy it and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you guys are following me on Twitter and on Instagram as I post the deck lists of all my decks on Instagram. The links will be in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you guys want to send me, and you guys want me to open it up on the channel, the info will be in the description as well. And if you guys hear music in the background, I've got Mifa's theme, what was it called? Zora Champion from Breath of the Wild here on my Fire Stick. Y'all know what's going on. Y'all know what's up. I don't have to explain. But let's get straight into it. First up, we got a single copy of Kuriboh. This card basically acts as sort of like a Cyber Dragon, but it can only work if you have the 5 Kuriboh brothers in your graveyard. You can just summon it right off the bat. The catch is that you have to have more monsters on board, or sorry, in your graveyard than your opponent. If that's the case, then you're able to summon this card from your hand, which would then help you go into your rank 5 place, which there are only 2 rank 5s in the deck. The extra deck, I really didn't do a whole lot to it. I just took a few cards out, I put a few extra cards in, and I did add a side deck as like a preference for you guys, in case if you guys want to do your own, build your own side deck. A side deck like what I'm about to show you guys later on might be of use. By the way, shout out to Starbucks for the coffee. Not sponsored, just love Starbucks. Anyway, next up we've got the 5 Kuriboh brothers. We've got Kuriboh, 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 and Kuriboh. So each of these has their own effect. Kuriboh's effect reads, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card, add 1 Kuriboh monster from your deck to your hand, except this card. Once per turn, as a quick effect, you can discard 1 trap, and target a face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 1500 attack until the end of the turn. So it basically just loses its... So the monster that your opponent controls loses its power, but you're not really using any of the Kuriboh brothers for anything else, unless if you're going into Kuriboh, Kuribandit, or you're going into your rank 1 plays. But if you feel like you're sort of like out of options, then yeah, you can go into your link plays as well. So, such as cards like Access Code, or perhaps an Avermax, which I'm not running in this deck actually. But still, you're mainly using the Kuriboh brothers for Kuriboh, Kuribandit, and your rank 1 plays, which is pretty crazy. But Kuriboh's effect has an interesting one. Is kind of an interesting one. It says, when this card or another Kuriboh monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can add a spell or trap from your deck to your hand that lists the card Kuriboh in its text. You can only use this effect. Once per turn. Once per turn, when an opponent's monster declares an attack, while you control another Kuriboh monster, you can change the attack of all other monsters you control to 0 until the end of the turn. And if you do, negate the attack. So it's a nice little way to pretty much almost like end the battle right there. with the with Kuriboh, and with cards like with cards like Kuriboh and whatnot in this deck, you're pretty much able to just negate pretty much almost any and all attacks during your opponent's battle phase, and your opponent would have no choice but to just go to their main phase 2, send pass. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Now Kuriboh and Kuriboh have sort of similar effects. Kuriboh's effect reads when this card or another Kuriboh monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can special summon a monster with 300 attack, 2 and 200 defense from your deck except this card. You can only use this effect once per turn. You contribute this card you control and one each of the Kuriboh brothers from your hand or field special summon Kuriboh Babylon from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Now Kuriboh pretty much is basically the same thing, but instead of Kuriboh Babylon, it's Kuriboh Bandit. So its effect reads, as a quick effect, you can discard this card, then target one Kuriboh monster you control. It gains 1500 attack. You contribute this card to control. You contribute this card you control, and one each of the Kuriboh brothers from your hand or field, add a Kuriboh Bandit from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Then immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a fiend monster from your hand. Kuriboh Bandit is a fiend, so you can just normal summon it right off the bat, and go to your end phase and just mill out and just excavate one of your spells, and you're pretty much just off to the races there. And then of course, the aforementioned Kuriboh Bandit, which is actually not too bad of a card, even though if they went by the anime effect, we were able to add all the spells and traps that you excavated to your hand and send the monsters to the graveyard. That would be pretty broken. That would be pretty broken. Being able to just add out, draw out, cards like 5-star Twilight and a Monster Reborn and whatnot. That's pretty nuts. That would be pretty fucking nuts. But it is what it is. It's also a nice way to. It's actually a really good way to search out your fusion cards, such as like Fusion Destiny, search out 5-star Twilight, or even also Awaken the Dragon or Solemn, for all we know. So you're mainly using Kuriboh Bandit for that, but if your opponent activates, let's say an Imperm as an example, then obviously you're gonna have no choice but to use it as link material to go into your Link 2 plays, such as Dark, IP, Cerberus, Phoenix, or even also go into your Link 3s, such as Unicorn, or go higher than that and go to an Appaloosa, an Access Code, or Borsor for all we know. So with Kuriboh Bandit, it's a double-edged sword, but if you're able to stick its effect, you're pretty much just off to the races there. Then we have 2 copies of Kuriboh, which I believe we never got printed in the TCG, which is bullshit, but its effect is so good. It is so good. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can discard this card, and target a monster in either graveyard except this card and special summon it to your field, but send it to the graveyard during the end phase. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the grave, you can add one Monster Reborn from your deck or grave to your hand using during the end phase of this turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. So this basically acts as a double Monster Reborn. So it's as if you have 1, 2, 3, 4 Monster Reborn. It's as if you have 2, 4, 6 Monster Reborns. The 4 in the 2 and Kuriboh, the 1 Monster Reborn itself, and the Kuriboh itself as well, which is pretty cool. So with these two, with the 2 and Kuriboh, you basically have access to Monster Reborn, even if it was in the graveyard, or if it was like buried somewhere in your deck, then yeah, you get to basically search it out, resummon one of your Kuriboh monsters, go into your link plays or whatever, and you're off to the races there, which is actually pretty crazy. And then again, and then we got the 3 copies of the aforementioned Kuriboh. Basically, the first hand trap ever made in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh. Not much else to say about that. Then, of course, we got the 1 copy of Clear Kuriboh, which is kind of a weird card, but it's actually not too bad. So its effect reads: when your opponent activates a monster effect that would inflict damage as a quick effect, you can discard this card, negate the activation. When an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can banish the card from your grave, draw 1 card, and if it's a monster, special summon it. Then change the attack target to it. You can only use this effect once per turn. So it's a nice way to search out. It's a nice way to get out, your more big beaters that are in the deck. Such as Dasher and Link Slayer and whatnot, which I am running in the deck, which I'll explain why here in a moment. Or you can even also go into a an Kuriboh, which would allow you to get your Monster Reborn right off the bat, which is pretty crazy. Then, of course, we got the Kuriboh. Again, this basically acts as a Monster Reborn, which is really cool. Its effect reads: at the end of the battle phase, you can discard this card and target a monster in your grave that was destroyed by battle and sent there this turn. Special summon it. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish this card from your grave and target any number of Kuriboh monsters in your grave. Special summon them. Basically, you're able to special summon the five Kuriboh brothers right off the bat. Right off the bat, and then activate a card like, say, Detonate, and just wipe out your opponent's board really quickly, which is pretty good to say the very least. Then, of course, I didn't realize it, but I've got 3 copies of this card. I'm actually going to cut it to 2, and I'm going to add I think I might... I'm trying to think when I could replace it. I think I might do a second Clear Kuriboh, just because of the fact that Clear Kuriboh acts as sort of like a again, it acts as sort of like a +1, so to speak. So the 3 copies that I just mentioned, it was the Astral Kuriboh, and the reason why I decided to just now cut it to 2 is because I'm only running 2 rank 5 number monsters. I'm running the number 61 and the number 19, because because of that, there's pretty much no need to have 3 copies of Astral Kuriboh anyway. So but Astral Kuriboh's effect reads: you can reveal 1 number exceeds monster in your extra deck, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, this card's level becomes the revealed monster's rank. Also, while it's face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except number exceeds monsters. You can only use this effect once per turn. A number exceeds monster that was summoned using this card in the field as material gains this effect cannot be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects. So this is a great way to just summon out these guys, and they can't be targeted or destroyed by battle or card effects, which is pretty cool. Not much else to say about that. Then, of course, we are running the Destiny Hero package. We got the Dasher, the Celestial, we got the Fusion Destiny, and of course the DPE itself. Dasher's really cool because during your draw phase, when you draw, if you do draw a monster, no matter what the monster is, you can special summon it right off the bat, Wild Dasher is in the graveyard. And Celestial, if you have no cards in your hand, it's essentially a pot of greed, which is just absolutely insane. So if you had already used up Dasher, you could banish both Dasher and the Celestial and draw 2 cards right off the bat. And then Fusion Destiny basically just helps you send the Dasher and the Celestial from your hand or deck to the grave, and you summon DPE, and you have basically a board wide right off the bat easily. Then of course we are running 3 copies of a brand new card known as Skilled Brown Magician. This is an interesting card. So if you guys do not remember any of the Skilled Magician cards that we got that we had gotten over the years, we ended up getting Skilled Dark Magician, in which every time a spell is activated, a counter gets put on Skilled Dark. When 3 counters are on Skilled Dark, you tribute it and you summon Dark Magician from your hand, Dark Graveyard. Skilled Blue Magician focuses on Gaia the Fierce Knight. Skilled White Magician focuses on Buster Blader. Skilled Red Magician focuses on an Archfiend monster from that they may have. So I believe it was the only way to bring out well, what was it? Archfiend of Guilford, I believe it was. And you know, or you can implement this into the Archfiend deck. If you guys remember the Archfiend deck from GX, it was a pretty weird ass deck, to say the very least. Skilled Brown Magician focuses on Kuriboh. So I'll read off its effect to you guys. If you guys have never seen this card before, or you guys never saw me talk about this here on the channel, it's a 4-star dark spellcaster with 300 attack and 200 defense, the same as pretty much a lot of the Kuriboh cards, a lot of the Kuriboh monsters that are in this deck. And its effect reads: each time a spell is activated, place a spell counter on this card. When that spell resolves maximum 3, you can remove 1 spell counter from this card, then activate one of these effects. This card gains 1500 attack, and its level is increased by 1. Add a Kuriboh monster or 1 multiplied from your deck or grave to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. So let's say for example, you want to go into, I'll say, number 61 Vulgasaurus. Let's say that as a example. You would go normal summon Skilled Brown Magician, activate Astral Kuriboh's effect, target the Vulgasaurus, special summon the Astral Kuriboh. It now becomes level 5. You activate, I'll say Monster Reborn. I'll say Monster Reborn. You resummon, I'll say one of your Kuriboh cards, and Skilled Brown Magician now has a spell counter on it. You send pass. Your opponent goes. They activate a couple spells. 2 more counters go onto this card. Their battle phase gets negated. Your turn comes again, and you get to trigger Skill Brown's effect, remove one of its counters, increase its level by 1, and you can instantly go into the number 61, trigger its effect, detach one of its materials, pop one of their monsters, and inflict damage to them, which is just absolutely insane. This card is actually not too bad, but only when it's played correctly. When it's not played correctly, yeah, you're pretty much just fucked right there. Next up, we have 2 copies of Red-Haired Hasty Horse and 2 copies of Link Slayer. These 2 cards both act as Cyber Dragon, but with a unique drawback. Hasty Horse effect reads: If there is a column with no cards, you can special summon this card from your hand in attack position to your zone in that column. You can only special summon this card once per turn this way. If another card is placed in this card's column, destroy this card. Once per turn, you can have this card's original attack for the rest of this turn. If you do, it can attack directly. So, dealing your opponent 1,000 damage, it's not too bad, but dealing them 2,000 damage is even better. Link Slayer basically acts as a Cyber Dragon, but it only works if you have if you have nothing on board. Nothing on board. No monsters, no back row, no nothing. And the best part is that it acts as sort of like a Twin Twister. Where you can just... But the only downside is that you're not discarding one card, you're discarding 2 cards. Which is kind of bad. But at the same time, if you ditch, let's say, any 2 of the 5 Kuriboh brothers, and you activate 5, and you have 5-star Twilight in your hand, and you know what? It's not too bad. It's not too bad. And then to round up the monsters, we got the 2 Ash Blossom and the 2 Jester Confine. Jester Confine actually is kind of a weird one because it sort of acts as a compulse for the deck. You can only control one Jester Confine. You can special summon this card from your hand in attack position. If summoned this way, during your opponent's next end phase, target a face-up monster your opponent controls, return both that target and this face-up card to the hand. So, again, it sort of acts as like a compulse, but a really bad one, actually. But a really bad compulse, to be honest. But still, it's a level 1, perfect to go into your Link Kuriboh plays. So hey. Moving on into the spells, there are only 13 of them. We have the 3 5-star Twilight. If you have a 5-star monster on board, 5-star Twilight gives you Curry Babylon right off the bat. Not much else to say about that. Not much else to say about that. Not much else to say about that. 5-star Twilight, you ditch one of your 5-star monsters, get the 5 Kuriboh brothers out, you activate Kuriboh's effect, summon Curry Babylon, you basically have a 3000 beat stick. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. Next up, we have 2 copies of the Flute of Summoning Kuriboh. This is basically... this is basically one of the biggest breaks in the deck because of the fact that you could potentially have Kuriboh in your hand. You could potentially have all three copies of Kuriboh in your hand, and the question becomes, what do you do with the flute? What do you do? It's stuck in your hand, and there's nothing you can do about it. Plain and simple. But if you have only one copy of Kuriboh in your hand, then you know what, the flute might not be so bad, but it all depends on the opening hand. Next up, we have 3 copies of Multiply. This card is absolutely hilarious. This card is a really hilarious card. But what's interesting about this card is that if you combine this card with Detonate, you essentially have a very powerful combo. So Multiply's effect reads: tribute 1 face of Kuriboh, special summon as many Kuriboh tokens, which are 1-star Dark Fiend, 300 attack, 200 defense, as possible in defense position, and they cannot be tributed for a tribute summon. Detonate, on the other hand, acts as a board wipe. So its effect reads: destroy as many Kuriboh and Kuriboh tokens you control as possible, and destroy cards you control your opponent controls up to the number of cards destroyed by this effect. So basically, if there are 5 Kuribohs on your field, it's essentially a board wipe. Plain and simple. There's not much else to say about it. Then, of course, again, as I had mentioned, we got the Fusion Destiny. We got the Monster Reborn and the one called by. You want your plays to go through, so call by pretty much just tells your opponent, fuck you. Plain and simple. Um, Now for the traps, there are only 3 in this deck. We got the Waken the Dragon, the Solemn Strike, and the 1 Solemn Warning. We got the, I do have the second copies, in the side, just in case if, you know, if the 2 flutes end up becoming bricks, then you can just add the, you know, side them in. There are so many ways that you can go about with the deck, but it all depends on you. It all depends on you and how you want to go about it in games 2 and 3. Now moving on into the extra deck, I'm actually gonna go. You know what? I think I'll go Fusion to Link. So first up for the Fusion, we got the DPE. This card basically just acts as a board wipe, and what's even more cool. Sorry guys, there was some. I got a notification from Instagram. Anyway, what's cool about this is that it acts as a board wipe, and if you have Dasher and Celestial banished, this card basically just essentially becomes a monster reborn for itself. You resummon the DPE, and you can just continue to use it as a board wipe over and over and over and over and over again until your opponent has nothing. If your opponent has nothing, they lose. Plain and simple. We got the Divine Arsenal AA Zeus Sky Thunder. Go into one of your Link 1s, go into a Link 4, and then go into Zeus, or go into this one, which is Cyber Dragon Infinity, which is the Waken the Dragon target. If Cyber Infinity has a good amount of materials, you go into Zeus and you have a pretty decent. You basically have a pretty decent amount of board wipes, and essentially it just becomes a 3,000 beat stick to the face of your opponent. We got the Cyber Dragon Infinity, which again is the Waking the Dragon target. We got the Freezedon and the Volcasaurus. In this deck, I really don't like the Freezedon, but what's cool about this is that it becomes a 2500 defender, so it's not too bad. But what's even more cool is that if you use Cyber Infinity's negation effect, you can use Freezedon's materials to essentially use Cyber Infinity's effect for free. So at the cost of Freezedon's own material, it's essentially a free Solemn Judgment for Cyber Infinity, which is really cool. We got the Volcasaurus, which again can deal your opponent a pretty decent amount of damage. We got the one Downward Magician, which is kind of an interesting card. But what's cool about this card is that you can use the Lureless Assembled Nightingale to go into the Downward Magician, which would then allow you to go into the Zeus, depending on how you see it. So Downward Magician's effect reads, during your main phase 2, you can also exceed some of this card by using a rank 3 or lower exceeds monster you control as material and transfer its materials to this card. This card gains 200 attack for each material attached to it. If this card attacks a defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. Inflict piercing battle damage. I can't even speak this morning. If this card battles after damage count, detach a material from this card. Obviously, you're not going to be using Downward Magician for any battles or anything like that. You're only going to be doing this off of the effects of Assembled Nightingale, where you can basically attack your opponent directly for 1,000 damage, which I believe your opponent will be dealt 5,000 damage. You rank this up into Downward Magician, and because that you had already conducted your battle phase during that turn, you can instantly go into Zeus, trigger its effect, and boom, you got a board wipe. Your opponent's board is gone. You can essentially just set called by. You can essentially just set the set the call by, activate Monster Reborn, resummon the the DPE, if it got caught in the crosshairs of Zeus, set the two Psalms that they have, and you essentially have your board right there, which is insane, absolutely insane. Then of course we got the assembled Nightingale. This card, as I had just mentioned, it can attack. It can attack directly up to the number of materials it has. So if it has all 5, which basically are the Kuriboh brothers, you're pretty much just off to the races there. But it also protects itself from being destroyed by battle or card effects. So it does come as a cost, but still it's not too bad. Excuse me. Then of course we got the brand new card that was released or actually technically it's not new now, but we've got it came from Synchro Storm, Lurlusk and Semblu Robin. It actually is kind of an interesting card because it gains 500 attack for each material attached to it. So it's not too bad. So that's what 2500. Not too bad. If your opponent special summons a monster, except during the damage step, you can detach a material from this card that target one of those special summon monsters, or return it to the hand. If this card in your possession is sent to your grave by an opponent's card, you can target one other little less monster in your grave, add it to your hand. So you're not really using the Assembly Robin for that matter. But it's another card that can help go into your Downer Magician, which will then help you go into Zeus, which is actually not too bad at all. And then for the links, there it's just pretty much the standard for my taste anyway. We got the one Axis Code the one Nightmare Unicorn, the one Phoenix, the one Cerberus. We got the IP. We got the Link Kuriboh, and then of course we got the Dark Charm Gloomy. This card is actually not too bad because it acts as yet another Monster Reborn, but for darks that your opponent may have in their graveyard. And if it's destroyed by battle or sent to the grave by a card effect, you can actually take one of your darks, which could be a Kuriboh, it could be pretty much any of the Kuriboh brothers or whatever, and you basically get to just add it to your hand right off the bat, which is actually really cool. Then for the side deck, this is just my preference anyway. Based on what I had seen from past Yu-Gi-Oh matches, from years past, and from the photos that I had seen on social media from YCS Charlotte. We've got we've got a small artifact package. We got the 2 Scythe and the 2 Lancia. Scythe focuses on the extra deck, so it's kind of like its own like mini Buster Lock, which is actually pretty insane. And then of course we got the Lancia, which actually prevents the which prevents the call by from ever triggering, which is just pretty insane. Then of course we got the Ghost Bell and the Ghost Ogre. Bell focuses on cards being added from the grave to the hand, being summoned from the grave, or banishing cards from the grave, while Ash focuses on the deck itself. And then Ghost Ogre, as I had mentioned before, in past deck profiles, focuses on the current board as it sits, depending on what's there, which is pretty cool. And then of course we got the one Appaloosa, just in case if let's say you don't want to use Bulbasaurus, or you don't want to use the Axis Code, and you want to go into the Appaloosa, you can side out the Axis Code or the Bulbasaurus out, and side in the Appaloosa to give yourself some extra negation going forward into the match. And then of course we got 3 copies of Raigeki. I never thought I would ever be doing that, because For the last several years since I got back into the game physically in 2016, I was so used to seeing Raigeki at 1 or banned, but seeing this card at 3 is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. You basically have 3 board wipes. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. There's no setbacks. Nothing. Plain and simple. Then of course we got the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. Obviously you want you want your opponent's background to go bye bye. So plain and simple. And then as I had just mentioned earlier, we got the 2nd Strike and the 2nd Warning in case if the flute does not go through. So all in all, the deck is so much better than it was in the last build. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this deck profile. If you guys did and you guys want to see more deck profiles in the future, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up, and hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. And as always, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. All the links will be in the description below. And if you guys have any family you guys want to send me, and you guys want me to open it up on the channel, all the info will be in the description as well. And on that, this is your boy Nash, signing out.